We have numbers telling us that Donald Trump may have lost the 2024 election due to this Mark Robinson scandal that just got much worse. Now, of course, we still have to vote. We still have to mobilize and do all of the work, but I want to break down all of this new information and some new details we got about Mark Robinson's wild comments. We have 46 days to go until the election, and we have a lot to break down, so make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe to the Mockler channel, and let's jump in with this article that describes porn site user linked to Mark Robinson also praised Hitler's Mein Kampf. The Republican nominee for governor in North Carolina has denied writing these posts, which have upended his campaign in the battleground state, but we know for a fact he wrote them. The typical Trump tactic is to lie, deflect, attack, and never ever admit defeat. And that is what Mark Robinson is doing right now, and it genuinely may cost Trump the election if he is on the ballot in November. A porn site user linked to Mark Robinson praised Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf in addition to declaring himself a, quote, black Nazi, according to screenshots obtained by the Washington Post. The user's posts on forum Newt Africa vanished Thursday, the same day that CNN reported on the many ways the account resembled Robinson. A person with access to the site before their deletion provided the post with screenshots. Quote, Mein Kampf is a good read, the user dubbed Mini Soldier wrote. It's very informative and not at all what I thought it would be. It's a real eye-opener. The book, an autobiography on Hitler, of course, casts Jews as an eternal parasite, and we're only scratching the surface right now. If I wanted to sit here and read you guys everything that leaked from Mark Robinson, not only would we be here all night, but you guys would be disgusted by all of the stuff about getting pissed on and watching certain types of porn. And of course, I don't judge, we don't judge, but if you're going to be stripping rights away from other citizens, you better not be a freak yourself. Let's jump over to this video of Mark Robinson, and Trump knew about this stuff even after he endorsed him.
Ain't but two genders, ain't nothing but men and women.
He says God called on men to lead, not women.
Called to be led by men. When it was time to face down Goliath, sent David, not DeVita, David.
There's no reason anybody anywhere in America should be telling any child about transgenderism, homosexuality, any of that filth. And yes, I called it filth.
We could pass a bill say you can't have an abortion in North Carolina for any reason.
He says the civil rights movement in the 1960s was, quote, crap, and that Martin Luther King was a communist.
Robinson posted the movie Black Panther was, quote, created by an agnostic Jew to pull the shekels out of your Sforza pockets.
Okay, so Trump knew about all of this stuff, or at least Trump's team had vetted Mark Robinson and knew about all of this stuff, and they still endorsed him, they still went with him, and it backfired in their face because, again, the broader point here is Donald Trump doesn't care about anything other than loyalty. Let me play you this clip from CNN's Harry Enton. And this clip honestly had me giggling and jumping up and down. Not actually, but I was really excited because this clip genuinely made me think that Trump will lose North Carolina because of this scandal. And then Harry Enton lays out what happens if Trump loses North Carolina, and it gives VP Harris a 96% chance of winning the race. Watch this.
Turns out there are a lot of stories people talk about, and then they really fall flat. People aren't interested in them. This is a story people are really interested in. Google searches for Mark Robinson since that K-File story broke yesterday versus the prior 24 hours. Nationally, searches for Mark Robinson up 8,540%. My goodness gracious. How about in the great state of North Carolina? Up by more than 4,000%, despite the fact that they were Googling him plenty before. The bottom line is a lot of interest in this story.
Break down the state of politics right now in the great state of North Carolina. How could this single scandal impact not just the gubernatorial race, but perhaps even the presidential race there?
Yeah, you know, if you look at where the polls were heading into this, right, in the presidential race, my goodness gracious, how tight it was. It was tied. I think it was like 0.2 percentage points if you didn't round it. But the bottom line is tied between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. In the governor's race, look, the Democrat Josh Stein was well ahead of Mark Robinson, up by 10 points. I think he's going to be leading by even more after this particular thing. It's the real question of how much this may impact the presidential race. And how important is the great state of North Carolina when it comes to the presidential race? Look at this. The chance of winning the election if they win in North Carolina, it's very important. If Kamala Harris wins in North Carolina, look at that. Her chance of winning up to 95%. Donald Trump, even if he wins there, it's just 76%. But that actually says that this state is much more of a must-win for Donald Trump than it is for Kamala Harris. And that's why this scandal could be so devastating to his chances in what is really a must-win state for him.
Okay, so that is the massive number right there. If VP Harris wins North Carolina, if we can suppress Republican enthusiasm, so they're not enthusiastic to turn out, and make sure that VP Harris wins North Carolina, that basically seals the deal. I mean, a 95% chance of winning, that essentially seals the deal. And as one of the comments says right here, this is one of the only possible cases that they can think of where the down ballot candidates are so awfully bad and caught in such a massive scandal right before the election, it could actually change the outcome of the upstream races due to suppressing enthusiasm and turnout. Could you imagine Trump not reaching 270 electoral votes because of Mark Robinson's fetishes, because Mark Robinson couldn't keep it in his pants, metaphorically and actually literally speaking, and that's how the story of Trump ends, because of Mark Robinson's fetishes? Honestly, that would be hilarious, and there's a very real chance that happens. And we just learned now that Robinson won't appear at Trump's North Carolina rally after this report on his online post. So, the Robinson campaign and the Trump campaign, they're all trying to kind of sweep this under the rug and act like this didn't happen, but Mark Robinson is canceling his campaign events. He won't appear at Trump's North Carolina campaign. I'm telling you guys, this is going to have actual down ballot effects, because it's also like, imagine Trump's best surrogate in North Carolina getting essentially neutered 50 days before the election. And when I say neutered, I mean he's not going to events, he's not spreading the agenda. Trump's best surrogate in North Carolina just got nuked. And friend of the show, Isaiah Martin, his socials will be in the description below, summed up the entire situation perfectly. Listen.
So the Mark Robinson story finally came out, and it's nuts. Like, he's clearly a wacko, right? But he's a wacko who got the favor of Donald Trump. And that brings us to a larger point here. Look at how easy it is for crazy people to get something from Trump. You see, Mark Robinson's been gum under the table for a long time. Like, you can ask the Republicans in North Carolina, and they'll tell you that this guy's just been a complete total basket case. But the reality is, Mark wanted to become governor. So he felt like the best opportunity for him to get past the Republican primary is to get the Trump endorsement. So what does he do? He sucks on Trump's thumb. Trump loves it. He gives him the endorsement and he wins the Republican primary. The formula's pretty simple. If you flatter Trump, he will give you something. He's easy to manipulate. And that is exactly why he's dangerous. It's why people like Putin do everything they can to stoke his ego, right? Viktor Orban, Bolsonaro, all these people who are right-wingers, crazy authoritarians, know that if they go and tickle his little fingers, Trump, like a kid in a candy store, will do something for them. Dictators want him because they know when they flatter him, they get something. Crazy people who run for office want him because they know when they flatter him, they get something. He will sell out our country because they will make him giggle. So if Mark Robinson, who's a political novice, we all can agree on that, can manipulate Trump to give him his endorsement, and not only get the endorsement, but get Trump on stage to call him the reincarnation of MLK, what do you think people like Putin will do to him?
Very well said from friend of the show, Isaiah Martin. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like, comment a blue heart, hit that subscribe button, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.